Is it okay for a 42-year-old man to date a 25-year-old woman if she is pursuing it? Reddit age gap scenario post 83296A. Depends. Are you Leo DiCaprio? Consenting adults, so yeah, it's okay. They are both at totally different places in life and it may seem a tad odd, but it isn't my place to judge. Switch the genders and I'm the male in the relationship. I thought she was much younger when we met, and our relationship has been wonderful. I wouldn't want to be with anyone else. As long as it's all good, then it's all good. I went to school with a lad whose father was 18 years older than his mother. We always joked to him that his dad was sat in the pub whilst his mum had only just been born. If everyone involved is consenting, then it's fine, don't worry. The age gap is weird, but they're both consenting adults. They both know what they're getting into. Some might say it's creepy, but it's pretty clearly not abusive. 25 is well old enough to know what you're doing. Yes, it's okay. It just sounds odd without additional details about the relationship. The duality of Reddit. If this was on our relationship advice, the general consensus would be totally different. If his name's Leo, don't expect it to last. It's morally okay, but you have to ask yourself if you want a relationship with someone who is at a completely different stage of life than you are. OMG, who effing cares? As long as it doesn't create a gross power imbalance where the man has an "I know better than you because you're 25 yo baby" attitude, I think it's fine. The generally accepted rule of thumb is half your age, plus 7. So if you're 42, that implies the minimum age you should date without it being weird or inappropriate is 28. At the end of the day, you're both consenting adults. But it is an age gap that some people will think is weird or inappropriate. Bear that in mind. You're both adults, and if you make each other happy, who cares? First question, I'm wondering, much money you got? The rule is half the older person's age plus 7. To date 42 must be 28. In 5 to 6 years, this match will fit the rule. 48 and 31-ish would work by the rule. 25 is too young, according to the rule. Honestly though, just do what makes you happy. I broke off a relationship with someone that didn't fit the age rule, and I regret it all the time, wondering if I made the wrong decision. You can seek the approval of Reddit or the rule. Or just go for it. It is a pretty good rule though. It's okay, but it's not something I'd ever do. The age gap is far too wide. To put it into perspective, when they were 0 you would be 17, nearly an adult. When they were 10 you would be 27, nearly 30. No thank you. Technically T's okay because they're both consenting adults, but in my opinion it would be a little weird for a 42-year-old man to want to be in a relationship with a 25-year-old girl. I mean, she could almost be his daughter, and under normal circumstances a 25-year-old is not nearly as mature as a 42-year-old, and while the 25-year-old may not realize this, the 42-year-old should. Weird? Yes. Okay? Well, both of you are consenting, I hope, so I suppose it's fine. No. My daughter is about to be 25 and I would not be happy. I would look at the psychological aspect as to why a 25-year-old is pursuing a 42-year-old. I would suspect some unresolved issues. My brother-in-law married at 50 a woman who was 25. Didn't last. Where have you been all my life? For the first half I wasn't even born. But I had a cousin who married a man old enough to be her father, and they stayed together for the rest of their lives and were perfectly happy, smiley face. A 25-year-old still has a lot of growing up to. They are an adult, but they were in their teens 5 years ago. That's a fairly large age difference, and you are both in way different places in life. It makes it weirder if her parents are around your age or if you have kids closer to her age than to you. Asking if it's illegal? Sure. Will it make the man look pretty creepy? For sure. I'm 30 and I wouldn't even date a 25-year-old. Personally, I think it's gross. Why would you want to date someone who could be your child? But you're both consenting adults, so make whatever decision makes you happy. Is it okay for a 42-year-old man to fuck a 25-year-old woman if she is pursuing it? Fixed it for you, and yes, of course it is. She been drinking that stupid juice a little too much. If they're functional, respectful people, maintaining a healthy relationship, then yes. I wouldn't expect it to go very far, but it's legal, if that's what you mean. Some might swear they were completely stable and fully developed at 25, but most haven't been through much by that age. By 23, I had lost my dad, lived on my own for 5 years, finished college and survived abuse. Even after all that, I know I wasn't fully emotionally mature at 25. To put the age gap into perspective, you're at 0 years of adulthood at 18, 1 at 19, 2 at 20, etc. etc. So 25 is 7 years old. 42 is 24. It's definitely weird. Does either one have a position over authority over the other? Is one far more experienced in dating and relationships than the other? If no to either, then it's okay, I guess. I personally find that age gap far too big, but it's none of my business what two adults on equal footing are doing. Technically yes, but a much more important question to ask yourself is why do either want to? Two adults. None of my fucking business. Okay? Yes. Gonna work out? No. Both adults, so fine. Hopefully the older one doesn't take advantage of the younger's less life experience to manipulate and we're good. Who cares what anyone thinks but the adults in the relationship? Only in America, few other westernized countries is this even a question. Lol, yes, it actually makes a lot more sense than the 25-yo girl dating a guy her age. Two consenting adults. End of discussion. Motherfucker, you're already 42, haven't you learned not to give a shit what other people think? It's a big age gap, but you are both adults who can make your own choices. People might get the ick, but if you are happy then that's what matters. As long as there aren't any other twisted power dynamics that have gone unmentioned, it seems like nobody else's business but yours. Lol, have you met her parents yet? My boyfriend is 46 and I'm 28. We have a daughter together and everything is great. Yes, it's okay, it's their decision and their business. 42 isn't old, and 25 isn't especially young, either. That's a big enough gap that it could cause some issues if it ends up as a long-term thing, but for dating, if all parties are consenting and there isn't any sketchy power dynamics, sure. As long as you're both being honest about what you're offering and what you want. Sure, but as a 42-year-old I can imagine wanting to date anyone that young. Sex is one thing, but I wouldn't know what the hell else to say to them the other 23 hours of the day. So, you like that, Pokemon? Emo, yes. Consenting adults can do whatever. The only time I'd say no is if the 42-year-old adult knew the 25-year-old adult as a child or teenager. But two strangers who meet? Go for it. Nope. Kids also pursue older people, doesn't mean it's right. I'm not sure why people do this other than a bit of fun, because it will be awful in the long term. Just think that when the 25-year-old considered retiring in their early 60s, they will then be with someone who is near the end of their life and could need the appropriate care. Just imagine how awful that would be to effectively lose all that time with your partner of retiring together. I would advise against. Get the fuck off Reddit, Leonardo DiCaprio. As a man in his early 40s, in that situation I would be immediately concerned why she would want to date someone she has almost no shared life experience with. It's a little under the usual half your age plus 7 guideline. But as others have said, you're two consenting adults. The answer to the universe is 42. Now I understand it why. I don't know about the is it okay stuff, but if I were 42, I wouldn't consider dating a 25-year-old woman. As a 28-year-old woman, I've never been attracted to older men. I probably wouldn't date above 5 years older. But to each their own. 42-27. It's close, but I'll allow it. You're both adults. Do what you want, it's your business.